I've always wondered why a man would walk away from a marriage that he fought so hard to build. I recently learned that it's rarely as simple as he just got bored or he didn't care. I was talking to Mark, a friend of mine that I've known since high school. He just packed his last box and left the house that he'd lived in for 20 years. He gave a heavy sigh and said, it wasn't one big fight, but 1,000 little moments when I felt invisible. Mark loved Susie, his wife. They built a life, raised kids, shared countless adventures, but somewhere along the way, he stopped feeling like a husband, like a life partner, and started feeling like an ATM, a handyman, and eventually just a roommate. And when he finally walked away, even he couldn't explain why at first, only that he felt empty, unseen, and tired of fighting a silent battle no one else could see. Stories like Mark's aren't rare. Today we're going to talk about 10 possible reasons men walk away from their marriages. Not the cliches you see in movies, but the truths that so many men silently carry until it's too late. Hey, in case we haven't met before, I'm Bill. Now on this channel, you and I talk about life and the lessons we've learned. If you're into that, then listen up. When talking about why men leave, I'm not placing blame, but I want to better understand what really happens in some marriages and what can be learned to prevent these breakups. Most men don't say it out loud, but they deeply want to feel valued. Not just for what they provide financially or fix around the house, but for who they are as people. Hell, I say it, I want to feel valued. But over time, if every effort feels expected or invisible, a man may start to emotionally check out. And once that emotional distance sets in, physical distance isn't far behind. It's been said that contempt is the kiss of death for relationships. Now, I can't remember just who said that. If you know, give this video a thumbs up and drop the name in the comments below. Men, just like women, can only take so much criticism before it starts to chip away at their sense of worth. And when every conversation feels like a complaint, some men withdraw completely rather than keep fighting a battle they feel they can't win. Here's something that surprises most people. Many men crave emotional closeness as much as physical closeness. If the marriage becomes just about logistics, the kids, the bills, the schedule, and no longer about sharing dreams, fears, and feelings, men can feel painfully alone, even while sharing the same bed. Now, I get it. Over the years, people change. New jobs, new interests, new priorities. But if a couple stops nurturing shared dreams or stops talking about who they're becoming, it's easy to wake up one day next to a partner who feels like a stranger. And constant fighting wears anyone down. Some men hate conflict so much that instead of dealing with the endless tension, they decide to walk away altogether just to find peace. If a man is constantly fighting with his wife, the trust between them will erode. And trust, once broken, is incredibly hard to rebuild. Some men leave because they've been betrayed. Others walk away out of guilt after betraying their partner themselves. Either way, the bond that held them together is shattered. Now, let's discuss finances. Money isn't just paper and numbers. It represents safety, power, and trust. When couples fight constantly about spending, debt, or saving, it can reveal deeper problems, control issues, secrets held, or mismatched values. For some men, financial stress becomes the tipping point that ends the marriage. In some unfortunate circumstances, addiction, untreated mental disorders like depression or severe anxiety can overwhelm the relationship. Some men leave when they feel powerless to help, or when the relationship becomes defined by crisis after crisis after crisis. Now pay attention to this, men. Deeply need to feel respected by their partner. If a man feels constantly belittled, dominated, or like nothing he does is good enough, he'll likely choose to leave rather than live without his dignity. And here's a big one. Believe it or not, marriage isn't just about sex. It's about connection, acceptance, and love. Women aren't the only ones who need that. Men do too. Everyone does. However, when physical intimacy disappears completely, a man will likely internalize it as rejection. And that rejection can erode their confidence and the emotional bond until leaving feels like the only option. Now here's what's important to remember. Most men don't leave overnight. These decisions usually come after years of feeling unheard, unseen, or unloved. And often they don't even know how to talk about what's wrong until it's too late. So what could Mark and his wife have done differently? I'm no couples therapist or relationship counselor, but here is what I think. They could have talked earlier and talked more often with each other about what was going on. They could have shared not just the problems, but how they saw their future together and their gratitude for each other. If they had, they would have been better equipped to fight the problem and not each other. Now, I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what went down, but had I been, I might have reminded them both that respect, appreciation, and affection aren't to be taken for granted. They're the glue that holds couples together. So if you're asking yourself, is this happening to me? Or could this happen in my relationship? Don't panic. If you haven't done it before, it may feel uncomfortable at first, but start with a single, honest conversation. Ask your wife, do I make you feel loved? Do you feel appreciated? Sometimes that small step is enough to get the conversation going and change the direction of your marriage. Hopefully it leads to addressing the deeper issues. Now, a few months after Mark moved out, we met for a couple of beers after work. And he told me something that really stuck with me. He said, I didn't want to go. I just didn't know how to stay. It wasn't that he stopped loving her. It was that he stopped feeling like love had a place to live. Like there was no room left for kindness, respect, or simple affection. His words, not mine. As painful as it was to walk away, it felt even more painful to keep living as a stranger with Susie, he told me. Now, Mark's story is a reminder. Most men don't leave because they want to start over. They leave because they feel there's nothing left to fix, or because they don't know how to fix it. But here's the hope. These patterns often build over years, but they can also be changed. Sometimes by starting a single honest conversation. Sometimes by choosing every day to see and appreciate each other. So, before the distance becomes permanent, man up and ask the question that my friend Mark wishes that he'd asked sooner. Do you still feel loved by me? It might feel small, but sometimes it's the smallest moments that keep the love alive. Now, if you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. And in the comments section below, tell me, which of these reasons do you think is the most common or the most surprising? Thanks for watching.